1,800,000 years ago, the first people set foot on what is now present-day Georgia, and then one of them died.
Bleh.
Then, 1.8 million years later, an archaeologist found the skeleton, making Georgia the oldest country with human remains outside of Africa.
For about the first 1,700,000 years, ancient Georgians lived in caves. It was only until around 6000 BC that they began to develop their agriculture by breeding livestock, producing obsidian hunting weapons, and a new stylish look for Georgian houses. Oh, and this also happened in 6000 BC.
Wow, I wonder what would happen if I crushed a large quantity of grapes and left them in a clay pot for a month. Wow, I'm the first person in history to make wine. Oh, this also happened in 2100 BC.
Ah, what a beautiful time it is to live in Georgia, a new country being born right before my eyes.
Hi, we're here to ruin the peace and threaten you for metal and livestock.
Bruh.
But despite the tribute they had to pay the Eurasian, Hittites, Medes, Proto-Persians, and Sumerians for about 1,000 years, they survived. It was also around this time that the Proto-Kardvali language split into different branches. One of them was called East Kardvali, which slowly evolved into the present-day Georgian language.
In 1300 BC, the kingdom of Colchis was founded in the north on the coast of the Black Sea. It became the first Georgian kingdom in history. Just 100 years later, in 1200 BC, a tribal union of Georgians formed and became the Kingdom of Duwali, and defended Colchis against hostile tribes. Politics and states began to form. Georgia has an abundance of metals.
Hey you! Yeah, you! I have a spear with a rock on it, and I'm about to threaten you and steal your food!
Oh yeah? Mine's sharper, beat that.
Okay, you win.
And that's how the Bronze Age came around.
In 200 BC, Rome and Armenia don't like each other, so they go to war, and poor Colchis and Iberia are stuck in between. It's 189 BC, and the Armenians have invaded Iberia and made it one of their vassals. It's 88 BC, and there's a guy named Mithridates VI who rules Pontus and has just invaded Colchis.
It's fine, guys. We've survived invasions before. There's nothing to worry about.
Things didn't go so great for Colchis because Mithridates just conquered them. Yeah!
Oh no!
It's 65 BC, and the Romans have invaded Iberia.
Please, could you not invade my kingdom?
This time, things weren't looking so good for Iberia. The Romans forced King Phaneras II to join their campaign.
At the same time, the kingdom of Pontus is crushed by the Romans. The following events went something like this. Citizens of Colchis! Pontus has now been defeated by the Romans! We are no longer under Pontus rule!
Yay! Hi, the Romans in Colchis are now part of Rome. Oh, and we're not calling it Colchis anymore. The new name is the Roman province of Lazikum.
No! Iberia, what do you think about the new Romans that are slowly dominating our country?
Yay, we love the Romans. They gave us imperial protection. Plus, now we're stronger than Armenia.
Wait, what?
Now Colchis is not Colchis anymore. It's called Lazica now, and it belongs to Rome. In 117 AD, Iberia became independent. In 200 AD, the Roman Empire began to fall and lose power. So Lazica became more self-governing and eventually became independent.
Citizens of Lazica! We're independent now! 250 years later. Sorry guys, we're not independent anymore. We're now part of the Byzantine Empire. In 300 AD, a Georgian indigenous tribe called the Lazi tribe began dominating Lazica and created the Kingdom of Lazica.
In 327 AD, Iberia became one of the first places in the world to convert to Christianity, and the rest of the empire soon converted.
In 542 AD, the Sassanid Persian Empire, which is now modern-day Iran, and the Byzantine Empire didn't like each other because they both wanted beautiful, lovely Lazica.
So Sassanid and the Byzantines started the Lazic War, and Lazica was smack in the middle of all the chaos. It's so violent. I wish we lived in a golden age.
That won't be for another 600 years.
Well, at least tell me that the violence will stop soon.
Sorry, the Romans and Persians won't stop fighting for another 400 years.
What? Get back here! The Sassanid Persian Empire got Iberia in the end. And at first, Iberia and Lazica seemed to get along with the Sassanid Persian Empire. But then the Persians started to be mean to Lazica and Iberia. So Iberia decided that they actually wanted to be with Rome instead. 60 years later, the Persians would conquer Iberia and force him to become a Persian vassal. Then, Sassanid Persia decided that they also wanted control over Lazica. So they conquered Lazica from Rome, and then Rome said,
Okay, you win. But if you give Lazica back to us, we'll give you gold every year. So the Romans got Lazica back. Then in 580 AD, Iberia finally fell when the Persian authorities declared that Iberia would become a Persian province, thus ending the long life of Iberia. And then the Arabs came and destroyed the Persians. Plot twist, bang! See the Arabs coming!
now that the Persians were gone, Iberia came back from the dead and became a country again. And then everyone in Lazica just got sick of being controlled, so they called for
a revolution! Rome, you've been in control of me long enough. It's time for things to change.
Hey Lazica, wanna team up and kick out the Arabs?
Okay. Although Lazica and Iberia were now independent, their land was destroyed by the battles, and to make things worse, the nomadic Khazar people from the north raided them for decades. Now, do you see this country right here? Well, that's Abbasia, and Lazica and Abbasia are getting married.
Yay! Now, Khazia and Lazica are one country, and of course we have to make them a ship name, so their country's name changed to Abkhazia. Abkhazia is thriving, but meanwhile, Iberia has been subject to invasions from other countries for 300 years, and all the royal family is slaughtered.
This only left one family to rule. A guy named Adarnas IV was already super powerful, and he and his family became the rulers of Iberia. And then something complicated happened. Iberia became divided into 3 parts because everyone in the Bagrationi family wanted to be king. One of the 3 parts was ruled by a guy named David III, and he was a military warlord more powerful than even the king. Then he was poisoned with wine. 8 years later, his adopted son, Bagrat III, became the king of Iberia, and then later became the king of Abkhazia. Then Iberia and Abkhazia got married.
Now Abkhazia and Iberia are one country, and the country is called the Kingdom of Georgia. Then Bagrat III had a son named Georgi who really wanted to be king. So Bagrat III, being the good father he was, threw all of Georgi's cousins in prison forever, so none of them could be kings. The Byzantine Empire and the Georgian Empire didn't like each other, so Georgia took some of its lands while they weren't looking. That was stupid because the Byzantines were upset, and wrecked King Georgi and his army and got back the land. Then King Georgi died.
And then the Turks arrived. In the 1060s, Sultan Alp Arslan wrecked the southwestern Georgia, and continued to destroy Georgia for decades until he said,
"Ha, y'all are losers. Okay, fine, I'll stop harassing your country if you give stuff every year." That's what the Georgians did. It's the 1100s. Fights, plagues, and killings are happening all over Europe. But not here. Welcome to the Golden Age.
Golden Age.
In 1121, a king named David IV defeated the Turks and made Georgia super big. Then he built this really cool castle and did some exciting stuff. Then he died. In 1208, King Tamar became king, but she wasn't actually a king, she was a queen. But since she was so powerful, they called her a king anyway. In fact, some called her the Kings of Kings, even though she was a queen.
At first, she was mocked and bullied for being a woman, and was forced to marry a king who would supposedly rule the kingdom, but Tamar wasn't having it. She strategically hunted down her enemies and executed or imprisoned them, and then banished her husband from the country. Then she remarried a warrior prince from Alania named David, who unlike her original husband was loyal and kind to her. With Tamar's help, David turned the Georgian Empire from this to this.
Tamar also made an empire called the Trebizond Empire. Then she had a child, King Georgi IV, who wasn't as good at ruling. Bye bye Golden Age.
Ah, a new king. The Golden Age will continue. Bruh.
Georgia was invaded several more times, and slowly the Golden Age disappeared.
Hey, what's that sound? Oh no, not the Mongols!
And then Georgi IV died and was replaced with his sister, who was forced to give up Georgia's power to the Mongols. Okay everyone, good news! Taxes are being lowered. Wait, wrong declaration. We are now under Mongol rule. And taxes are being raised.
Due to the taxes being raised, there was an angry uprising.
Sadly, Georgia's colossal empire was brief, and it quickly shrank back to its size.
The citizens slowly realized that the Mongols weren't good rulers and didn't really care about the people, so they called for a revolution! This whole time, the Georgian monarchy, including King Georgi V, was lying low.
Hey, do you think it's safe to get up now?
Now there's a civilian revolution.
Oh, really? I'll be the leader!
In the 1500s, Georgia had to pull it together, so they got a bunch of land and the country ended up looking like this. Then Timur Lenk invaded and wrecked Georgia, killing over 100,000 Georgian civilians for being Christian. This fractured the country into a bunch of states that couldn't agree on anything. No one was sure if Georgia was a country or if it wasn't, or where the heck they even lived.
What? Where am I? I want to go back to the Golden Age. The Georgian Empire was declining, and in 1501 they became under the power of the Ottoman Empire, the West and the Sassanid Persians in the East. Georgia narrowly lost independence numerous times, and many parts of the countries were claimed as vassals by different sides. The Persians became more dominant over the Georgians, and many of the Georgian leaders converted to Islam and harassed the Persians out of fear.
Meanwhile, the citizens of Tbilisi were rebelling against the Persians, and even defeated some Persian soldiers that came to organize the citizens. The Persian king, Shah Abbas II, was furious and started a public massacre in Tbilisi, where over 130,000 people were slaughtered by authorities and another 200,000 people were deported. The Georgian queen, Ketavan, went to the Persians to negotiate with the king, but he killed her.
At the end of the 1600s, Georgia was poor, divided, and violent. They often had to resort to bartering.
Hey, do you want this cool rock I found?
Sure.
I'll give it to you for that.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
No. No.
Yes.
Yes.
Ugh.
In the early 1700s, a guy named Vakhtang VI became king of Kartli. Then the Civil War happened.
America, America, the home of the brave.
No, not that Civil War. The Sassanid Persian Civil War. Civil wars happened in other countries, America.
Anyway, the civil war in the east made Georgia even more violent, and the Persians changed their name to the Qajar Empire. For centuries, the Qajar and the Ottomans ruthlessly battled each other. Borders kept moving, leaders kept changing, and people kept being assassinated. Hey, what's that sound? Oh no, not the Russians!
The last king, King Georgi XII, ruled, and then he died in 1800, leaving 23 children in charge. However, a lot died young and only 3 direct lines remained. Georgia was annexed into the Soviet Union, and a lot of things happened under the rule of the USSR. Then, in 1918, Georgia became independent and slowly recovered. Georgia finally looked bright after the Russians were gone. Psych, just kidding, because the Soviets came back in 1921 and made Georgia the Georgian Soviet Socialist Republic. In 1991, the Soviet Union fell and Georgia became independent again. Then there was a 2-year civil war due to ethnic groups not getting enough recognition.
In 2008, Russia invaded again in order to form military bases, and a year-long war started. In the early 2010s, Georgia became a safer country when new laws and bills that helped the political system were passed. Today, Georgia is considered the 7th safest country, even after very recent wars.
Though Georgia currently does not have a monarchy, the Bagateoni family line continues. Nugza Bagateoni Kuzinski is the current HOH Prince of Georgia, and many princes, Tavadis, are also around. Almost all of them are descendants of King Georgi XII, the last Georgian king. We thank you for enjoying our documentary on the history of Georgia, and we hope you enjoyed it. We also hope you would care to visit Georgia and see firsthand how history played out in this country.
It has some of the most beautiful castles, cities, historic towns, delicious food, and breathtaking mountains and nature. Georgia is a country that's beauty has been preserved for millennia, with its history deep in the roots of the people and the land. This country is truly a sight worth seeing.